Hi, welcome to my shop. This is the first time I'm speaking directly into the camera, so it's a little weird for me. In the next few months, I'm going to do some updates in the shop, and since I've never done any shop tour before, I thought that this might be a good idea and good time to do a shop tour. And a few months later, when I'm done with the updates, maybe a year later, I'll do another one so we can compare the before and after. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna grab the camera, show you the general overview of the shop. Then I'm gonna go station by station and talk about each machine and different parts of my shop. Let's go. All right, so starting here, this is my desk, the CNC machine. Over here, bunch of tools, third press, drum sander. The center is a table saw, outfeed table, router table, dust collection. Over here I have the miter saw station and the tool wall, and here's my clamp rack. It's another my planer, another lumber rack, and here is my sheet good and lumber rack. So starting from here, as I said, this is my disk. I use this computer mainly to operate the CNC, and that's basically what I do with it. Sometimes I watch YouTube videos or maybe research about the project. And here is my CNC machine. This is Shapeoko 3XXL by Carbide 3D. I bought it on October 2020, exactly 3 years ago. I have the DeWalt router on it, and it had I had it with the bit zero and bit setter. I built this enclosure around it. This build served me really well in many ways. It has a ton of storage drawers, and also I had a dedicated dust collection, or like let's say a shop bag. And here's a shop bag, and that's the cyclone. This is my track saw and the biscuit joiner, and I have this three lifting door on three sides. That makes it really easy to reach to different parts of the machine, and also make it really easy to clean. I have the video of this build on the channel. It's the second video I have ever published, and the best performing video so far. And also I have the plan for this build available on my website. Maybe in the future I will upgrade it if I get a new machine, but for now I'm happy with it. It really fits well with the size of my shop and the scale of work that I'm doing. All right, this wall here, this wall is going to be the first update of the shop. This stand here and the wall here. I'm going to remove this stand. I removed this plywood wall. My shop is in the basement, and the concrete wall behind this plywood has a crack on it. And when it rains, it leaks. So that needs to be repaired, and as soon as possible. After that, I will probably build some cabinets on this wall, and I'm going to make separate stand for each of these machines. That would be the very immediate project. So this is my lathe. This is WEN LA3421. This is an 8x12 variable speed wood lathe. This is the older version, not the newer version. I don't think there's much difference between the versions. I got this one as a gift, but I cannot say I have turned many things with it. It's a bench top mini lathe, and it's not very powerful, but over the years I have turned few mallets, the core things, pens, and whatnot. I recently bought a PSI Woodworking. Let me read the name. It's a KWL 1218 VS Turncrafter Commander. That is a 12x18 variable speed MIDI lathe. I bought it in a very, very good condition, almost a new condition, for a very good price, and I'm going to replace that one with this one. And as I said, I'm going to build a dedicated cabinet cart for it. Moving on, this is my drill press. This is a Wen 4212T, 10-inch variable speed cast iron, the basis cast iron, and table is MDF. Nothing against Wen products, but this is the only reliable, having no problem Wen machine that I have, and I'm very happy with it. At least it suits the scale of my work. And this drill press table comes really handy. This is also by Wen. Moving on, we have my oscillating edge belt spindle sander. This is rigid belt sander, oscillating belt sander. I bought this used several years ago, very cheap. As you can see, there is no switch in front of it with the safety locking mechanism. I think the previous owner modified this and put a flick switch on the side. And I've never checked if this is like a true 90-degree or see if the angles are correct. But again, it works for me and I'm happy with it. Moving on, here's the drum sander. This is Supermax 16 by 32 drum sander. Purchased a couple years ago and I absolutely love it. Great addition to my shop. It's open-ended, means this is not attached to the base. It's open, so you can sand up to 32-inch panels. I purchased it with this stand, an in-feed and out-feed table, and you can see the stand is on casters, so I can just move it around to wherever I like. But I mostly use it here because the Shopback dust collection hose is here, and most of my tools, my machines are on casters. This is the best machine to quickly sand big panels, removing things like glue or epoxy. I use it to bring wood to a certain thickness, especially for those boards that you cannot run or fit through the planer. Boards are too big or too small or end grain. This is very easy to fine tune, and it's also easy to change the sandpaper, and I'm pretty happy with it. Here is Wen 3962 T 10-inch 2-speed bandsaw. This is again one of those machines that I never enjoyed using. I used it only for small and, let's say, thin cutting, maybe removing the tabs off of a CNC project. If, for instance, I want to resaw a panel into two, even with the right blade and right speed, it would take very long time and the saw will stall several times during the cut. I mean, I don't know, maybe I never could set it up properly, but I've watched many videos on it and it's just not what you expect from a bandsaw. Moving on, here is rigid JP0610 6-inch jointer. I've had it for several years now and it works really well. I rewired it into 220 volts. I don't really have much to say about it other than that I wish changing its blade was easier. It's a nightmare to change the blade of this machine. It's a straight knife and it takes like an hour to set up correct height of all those three blades. And the only thing negative thing that I can say about it is that the dust chute gets clogged sometimes with the chips and you have to manually remove it. And here is this is a Harbor Freight dust collector. I believe many woodworkers start their journey with this dust collector. It's one of those machines that works really good for its price. I recently converted into two-stage using an Oneida Cyclone and a canister filter, and also upgrade the impeller of the motor. And now it's that increased its performance dramatically, and now its suction and dust management is way better. Here is I have two lumber racks in the shop. One is here and the other is on the other side of the shop. This one here is to store all the cutoffs and small pieces. Like many other woodworkers, I'm having a hard time throwing out cutoffs. Many of them end up becoming firewood, but these are the ones that I think they'll become handy in a project, or maybe I'll just make a project with them. Before going to the other side, let's check out the table saw. This is Grizzly G0771Z. This is a 10-inch 2 horsepower table saw. I rewired this one also to a 220 volts, and again, purchased it several years ago. It was a huge upgrade from a job site Ryobi table saw that I had. It is a good saw, but I wish a few things were better on it. I wish the fence was. It's a good fence, but I wish it was like sturdier and a better fence. And the other thing is dust management or dust collecting management on this saw is not really good. Any chip that is close to that dust chute, they get sucked into the dust collector, but it's not like a funnel that directs all the chips into that chute. The wood chips go all over the place. And at this end of the table saw, I integrated the Bosch RA 1181 router table, and I have a Bosch 1617 EVS on it. I need to build a better cabinet for the router table for better dust collection and better storage. And also at this end, this is the table saw cabinet on casters that rolls next to and under the table saw somehow. It's a great storage for all of the table saw accessories, different blades, different gauges, different inserts, dado blades and everything, and it's very handy. Moving on to this side, this is outfeed assembly table. I built this one only out of plywood. I mean, there's a layer of MDF on top of it, but that also can be replaced with plywood. Later, I add these drawers into it, and there are leveling feet on 4 sides. I mean, my shop floor is not level, so I have to put those feet to level it with the table saw. And there are T-tracks on it, so I can use T-track clamps to just work holding. I planning to build like a proper woodworking workbench. I'm trying to get more into using hand tools. I would love to do that, and that would be definitely a project coming. About the air filtration, I have 2 custom-made air filtration systems in my shop. One is this one, which is basically a square box fan with filters in front and back of it. I think it does something because the filters get dirty, but I don't think it does much. It doesn't do much. I think any dust around it's likely to settle rather than sucked into this. I mean, but I think if the construction of this was better and it had no leak, that would perform better. The other air filtration system here is this is amazing. This is a Caterpillar 14-inch air circulator fan on top of a canister filter. They are held together with these springs. This is a same canister filter that I used for the dust collector over there. And I also put these on a caster so I can move it wherever I want. And this thing is amazing. There's a built video of this filtration, air filtration on my channel if you want to check it out. Also, I have a video of two-stage dust collector if you want to check that out as well. I leave the link of those videos in the description. Moving on to the miter station. At this end is the wet grinder. This is Grizzly T110 anniversary 10-inch wet grinder. It's a good machine, but I haven't used it much. I bought it new mainly to sharpen chisels and plane blades, and as I said, I really want to get into using more hand tools, so for now I will hang on to it. Over here, this is another one of Wen machines. Again, I bought this used thinking that I will use it, but I use it only once, I think. Mainly probably because I have a CNC machine now, and everything that the scroll saw can do, a CNC machine can do and more. This miter station, this is I think one of the first builds of the shop. It's really sturdy and offers lots of storage, but if I want to build this one again, I would definitely build like cabinets, like separate cabinets for the base, and also put some cabinets on top, something like the J-Bay miter saw station style. Yeah, I store lots of miscellaneous stuff here. Most notable one is my Fuji Semi Pro 2 sprayer, and all of its accessories. It's an HVLP sprayer, and I love using it. It's one of the best purchases of the shop. I'm standing close to the furnace, so sorry about the noises. Also, there are some, let's say, chisels and hand planes and all different kinds of stuff. I just shove it here. And this is DeWalt DWS 780 12-inch double bevel sliding compound miter saw. That's a mouthful. It's a great saw. Purchased it new for very good price at the time. It has a huge cut capacity, and the angles are very accurate. The only things that I wish were different, one is the dust collection, or let's say dust management on this saw. And the other is I wish the sliding rails were stationary. Like, I mean, these rails, I wish these were stationary, like, and the saw head will slide on them, just like the Festool or Makita design. And I built this enclosure around it to do a better dust management. And there used to be a direct pipe from the dust collection going from that hole in, but I found it to be not very effective, so I removed it, and now I just use this dedicated Shopback and I hook it into the saw. They both connected to this automatic switch, so whenever I start the saw, a second after the Shopback will start, and when the saw stops, the Shopback will stop, I think 6 or 7 seconds later. And here on this side of the miter saw station, I have my power tool, power drill, and drivers, their batteries, and their chargers. There's another drawer here full of miscellaneous stuff, and down there I have my, this is a Porter cable pancake air compressor. Moving on, here is this wall. I have all sorts of things here. I used French cleat system, which I'm not really a big fan of. It has its own pros and cons. Pros are being really accessible and rearrangeable, but the big con is that dust will sit all over it, and it gets accumulated, which at that point you have to either clean each item one by one, which takes a lot of time, or blow the dust off of it with compressed air or a blower, which basically going to sit on it or other things again. I believe cabinets or drawers are a better option for shop organizing, especially for those shops that don't have a good air ventilation, such as mine. So building some cabinets here will be a project for the future for sure. Here's my planer. This is a DeWalt DW735, very famous thickness planer. Purchased it almost 3 years ago, and it was upgrade from surprise surprise when planer. And what a huge upgrade it was. I still have its original. It still has the original straight knives, but I wish to upgrade it into hopefully in the very near future I will upgrade them into the helical color head. Both the planer and the jointer over there, I going to hopefully again in the near future upgrade them into the helical color head. And I built this card for it on the casters, nothing special about it. Before going over there, this is a Shopback. This is my Shopback with a dust stopper. I don't know the model of the Shopback, and this is not my setup. I saw this setup video. I don't know if I find the video. I'll leave the link in the description. It has a rigid dust stopper on top, and as a cyclone kind of. But I cut this board on the CNC, which accommodate all the cyclone, accommodate the cyclone bucket and all the accessories and fittings of the Shopback. Going back over here, this is my clamp wall. I have all sorts of clamps here. You can never have enough clamps, as they say. These are my parallel clamps, some pipe clamps, FS style clamps, spring clamps, again, special clamps, all sorts of. Oh, by the way, this is the lathe that I was talking about. This is the Turncrafter Commander. It's very good lathe, and hopefully I will start using it in the near future. Moving on, this is my main lumber rack, which stores all of the large and long boards. It's closer to the entrance of the shop, and I saw this setup on a J Bates. This is like a J Bates design. This is basically I don't know if originally belongs to J Bates or somebody else, but I saw it in his channel. These are 2x4s nailed into the concrete wall, and these are, I believe, 3/4 inch conduits going into these 2x4s with a 5-degree angle. This is a very cheap but very strong lumber rack, and as you can see, it holds lots of lumber here. And moving on, lastly, I built this Slumber sheet good cart several months ago, which store all of the sheet goods here. These are on casters, heavy duty casters, and there's a room for long board cutoffs, and also that stores some other types of wood here, some live edge cookies and whatnot. And I also have the build plan for this one available on my website, and also the video on my channel. And by that, that's it. That was my shop tour, the first ever shop tour. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for stopping by. Again, hopefully in a few months or maybe half a year later, after I'm done with the updates, I'm gonna do another shop tour so we can compare the before and after. Again, thank you for tuning in. See you in the next one.